Every life has a soundtrack. Join me as we invite guests to share their journey through music, one song at a time. 10 moments, 10 memories. I'm your host, Sean, and welcome to 10 Tracks.
Are you ready?
Welcome to 10 Tracks. My guest today is Soreya James. Soreya, welcome to 10 Tracks. Where are you in the world?
I am in New Zealand and I'm in a little town called Whangamata, and that means the water beneath the mountain. So it's a little town in the Coromandel, which is in the east coast of the North Island. We have about 6,000 people, so tiny little town here. It's beautiful,
And
beachside, and yeah, stunning place to live.
Soreya, you are a ceremonial speaker, transformational guide, and what you would also call a technician of a woman's world. Is this like
Yeah,
the transformation mechanic? Is that a good way of maybe calling
yeah,
it?
it's an interesting title to place, isn't it? But I work with a precision technology, a very ancient technology. So when I work with, well, men and women, but mostly women, we're using a very sort of precise process, if you like, to work with whatever it is that they are presenting,
Hmm.
and inviting for support. So yeah, just a fancy title.
What sort of, uh, I guess, transformation are people bringing or coming to you for? Is this areas where they're blocked? Is this areas where they have maybe deep-rooted trauma or I'm trying to understand the differences because obviously everybody is coming at a different stage in their
Sure.
growth, etc., but needing probably help and support, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been doing this for, well over 20 years now. And so my work has evolved over that time. And people come to me with all sorts of different ailments and need for support. I mean, I meet everybody where they're at. So if they're
Mhm.
coming with trauma response or something that's needed with mental neuroses or physical illness, then I work with that. But I also work with high. I always find it hard to say these words. High visibility women in the public eye to help with their radiance and magnetism and supporting them with their nervous system capacity to meet the world that they have to meet in their role. Um, and everybody in between, really.
Yeah.
So
So this is
it's
also
not,
like an empowerment for women that are
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
building more their
I suppose you could
strength.
call it that. That word seems to be overused in the mainstream at the moment, but it's just
Yeah.
really women that are, I suppose the main work that I do is really supporting people's nervous system capacity and dealing with the outside world and having to mirror that with their inner world. So yeah, it's beautiful
How
work.
did you get into this?
I was 19, so
Hmm.
35 years ago, I stumbled upon a body of work called The Turning Point, which, says the name says it all. Um, and I was in a room with about 120 people from all walks of life. And it was a really intense, immersive weekend, or three
Hmm.
days. And I had I've told this story so many times and it still touches me. I had a grown man, an ex-gang member in my arms at the end of the weekend, having shifted, a huge amount of pain in himself around his upbringing. And he said to me, "You're born for this. You're born to do this work. Like you're so gifted in how you can hold somebody and without judgment and with so much love and compassion." And I just remember as that young woman going, yeah, yeah, this is my purpose. This is my pathway. And I started then and I've been on and off the path over the years. I kind of went off
Right.
into the mainstream world and became a flight attendant and flew around the world and did some other things. But I was quickly brought back onto this path in my late 20s, and I wouldn't be doing anything else. It's just incredible to do what I do.
Do you
Yeah.
still find
Well,
that you meet people who are picking this up for the first time at different stages of their life, even older or younger, but that they're being introduced to this somehow? I mean, it's kind of everywhere. So I don't want to discredit like the people who have done this and put in the work, but it's on social media, it's now more mainstream to see this type of in front of you, even though people don't understand it, I would say deeply, but they're getting almost commercials for it regularly, but that
mm,
still doesn't really capture the actual work that you have to do and to develop this into almost like breathing and exercise or eating. I mean, I think it can be a kind of part of your life if you have the discipline or do it correctly, maybe.
yeah, I believe that, there's a quote that says when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And you'll often hear me saying, and lots of people in our industry saying, life is going to give you the challenges, and when you choose to face them, then that's when the shift happens. And some people choose that and others don't. But life tends to give us a little bit of a tap to begin with, and then if we don't listen, it kind of gives us a push and then a shove, and then it might be like a Mack truck.
Mm,
It might come in the form of a loss or an illness, or um, something that we're grieving, or a trauma, or a bigger global experience like what we've been through in the last 5 years to really wake us up.
yeah.
And if we don't wake up, if you don't wake up, not you specifically, then life will certainly try and do it for you. And I've seen that enough in my own life and in the lives of people that I've worked with over many years to know that to be true. Yeah, I don't think we get away with too much these days.
No.
And there's a lot of help out there, which is wonderful. Yeah.
Is are you working with people locally? So you mentioned, women who are kind of getting more visibility and helping them to really grow into themselves and to shine. But are you also working internationally online with clients, or do you have clients
Yeah.
everywhere?
So I work in so many different ways. Like I work one-on-one, and then I have private immersions where clients come to me. Um, I also hold group retreats, and in 3 weeks' time, I'm holding a big event here with about 120 people, a festival that's very transformational in its essence. And so, I guess that the biggest thing that I do is offer experiences for the individual or the group or the larger group, or whether it's speaking on stage. So locally, internationally. I've done it all and continuing to do it all, but wanting to create more of a global reach. Hence, being present on some of these podcasts and getting yourself out there a little bit more from little old New Zealand.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
Um, And then how does music play into this? I mean, from your own story, but also as you do at work. I mean, is music still a component of your work?
It's a huge component, Sean. My mum would say to me that I danced and sang out of out of the womb. And I was singing right from a little girl. I think at some point Dad said that I was singing before I was talking. And my papa used to have these like nights with his mates in the garage, having a few beers on a weekend, and he would get me as a very young girl, 4 or 5, and he'd put me up on a chair and he'd go, "Sing for us, darling," and I'd sing all those old fashioned songs that poppers and loved. And my dad's a musician. So my dad
Hmm.
plays about, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 different instruments. And my brother's also a musician. My brother's an incredible musician. My son is a musician. We all sing. And music's been a huge part of our family. Like we've always had the radio on. We've always, been to events where there's dad's playing in a band or
Hmm.
parties as little when we were young, we were always kind of at parties where mum and dad were performing and us kids were asleep under the table and music's played a huge part of my life. Like I can't imagine a home without music or a family without music. I just
Right.
think that's the strangest thing. So um, yeah, right from a young age, I've been singing on stages and performing. And in terms of using music with my work, it's one of the key components. So whether it's using music to help shift some trauma in the body, using some really kind of dense beats or getting my clients to chant mantra. So working with sound current to change brain and body chemistry. It's a huge part of my work. Like I've DJ'd a lot, so I
Hmm.
kind of use that with the work that I do with groups and with individuals. So yeah,
Yeah.
can't have one without the other.
And I think with, I guess when you do transformational work, the music that I've always been connected to, whether it's yoga, whether it's been kind of meditation, it tends to be very trance, kind of relaxing, deep, kind of electronic for the most part. Or it could be very Eastern influenced, maybe Indian style music. Um, and I think that's great to open, especially if you're a music lover, to open you up to new music and to expand your musical genres that maybe you've been into. But behind all that, if you take, just the whole geeking of music kind of thing, which is probably where I go, because I've been in a yoga class in LA before, and I'm like, where's my Shazam? I want to like know what this song was
Yeah,
that the
yeah,
teacher put
yeah.
on. And afterwards I had to ask her kind of, and it was like a group. This was a big class that we did, and it was maybe about 120 of us in this yoga class. It was a really big space. And I remember that was like just because I was there visiting, I wasn't living there at the time. And I remember just listening to the music more and that's still where it's not, I'm not a musician, whereas musicians might be trying to say, okay, he played that chord wrong or that note was, perfect. Whereas I'm just like, okay, that's such a cool
It's
like
a cool
song
track.
and it was part of this whole thing, but I'm still listening to that, not staying completely focused where I should have been probably. So
Yeah.
um, I think as we dive into some of your 10 tracks today, it'd be interesting to some of from my listening of those, I'm really inspired to hear more about, how you found those and those came into your life. But
Yeah, thanks.
um, in your work now, you have courses, but you've written, is there a book that you've done as well?
Yeah, I've actually written three books, but two are unpublished. They're kind of just sitting on my computer,
Okay.
ready to go.
Yeah.
And the most recent book, Metamorphosis, is yeah, it was written last year when I was in Thailand, and it was based on a near-death experience that I had over there, and it just kind of came through me. And for 4 months, I was just on the computer writing this incredible story about a part of my life that connected to what happened to me in Thailand, and then what I witnessed in Thailand that really cracked my heart open, which is part of the metamorphic journey. Is like that cracking, and
Okay.
then the light, the wings come from that. But the beauty of this book is it actually became a digital version before the printed copy. So it's a digital app and it has music in it. So
Okay.
you read the chapters, and then at the end of the chapter it has a reflection piece, and then it has a playlist that I've curated. So I don't know, I actually haven't counted how many playlists are in it, but there's probably about 20, maybe even more. There's a
Oh,
playlist at
wow.
the end of every chapter, and the music is very, very precise. So this is where the technician comes in. It's very precise to actually elicit emotion or some kind of shift in the person that's just read the words, and then
Yeah.
the invitation is put the music on and let the music take you on a journey. And some
Yeah.
of it's really cathartic, like really, grungy kind of music, and Like there's two chapters around the mother wound and the father wound, and there's very specific music that supports,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
moving through that piece. So
Oh
yeah,
wow, that sounds really cool. I love that. And I love the idea that you specifically choose the songs in order because I think that's
yes,
something a lost in
yeah,
today's kind of streaming types. Whereas when you had cassettes and if I gave you a cassette and said this cassette I made for you and you
yes,
listen to it, you have to, you can fast forward, but it's kind of in sequential order of how the story I'm telling you is in that order of the cassette, both sides possibly. That's the way I used to do it. And
yeah.
nowadays you don't, unless you don't shuffle, you have to, and sometimes people don't kind of, but you can move it around, especially in like Spotify or some of the other ones, where you can shift the songs. So if you want them in a specific order, and then I did do that to a friend that said, play it this and don't shuffle, play it in
Yeah, play it
the
from the
way that it,
beginning and
yeah.
let it run through because it takes
And
you on a journey. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Um, sorry, let's jump into your first track.
Okay. I can't
This
remember what they are, so this is going to be great.
this is the Buggles from 1979. Video killed the radio star.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. So immediately the memory comes up, like when you say that song. It's such a beautiful childhood memory. So my parents, my dad built a boat. He built two actually, but this was the first boat that he built. It was called Chandos, and it was a 33-foot yacht. And we used to go for 6 weeks at Christmas time as a family and sail all around the islands north of where I live. So and we used to go to a place called Great Barrier Island, which is world famous. And we would moor or anchor into a bay called Smokehouse Bay. And there was like a shack on the beach, one far end of the beach, with a big, swing from the trees. And inside the shack was a smokehouse where you could take your fish and smoke your fish. But it also had
Hmm.
a bath in there, and you could put wood underneath the bath and light the fire and have a bath. And for a boatie that's, got a little shower on the back of the boat, it was just so great. And we had a Christmas there one year, and my dad dressed up as Santa, and there was a lot of rum going around, not
Oh
not
yeah.
with kids. And and I just remember this, like this memory's always stuck with me, where watching my dad. He's such a fool, such a great comedian, and all the adults were dancing, and us kids were playing, and this song "Video Killed the Radio Star" was playing, and everybody was dancing, and I don't know what it was playing on. It must have been, I guess, a cassette player or something, or
Yeah.
maybe it was coming off a radio from the boat. But it's just one of those anchored childhood memories that was such a happy, joyful time. And I remember the two gifts that I got for Christmas that year as well. And one was pick up sticks. I don't know if you have that over there, if you know about it. And the other one was called a barrel of monkeys. So I even remember the presents that I got from Santa, with that song attached to it. And
Pickup
so the
sticks. I'm
song,
trying to.
yeah, like it's these plastic, like 100 or so little plastic thin sticks, and they come in a barrel, and they're about, I don't know, this long, and you take the lid off and you put the sticks down, and then you drop them. They're all colored, different colors, and they kind of go everywhere, and then you have to try and pick them up one by one without moving any of the other sticks. Really cool
Okay. Yeah,
game.
yeah. I think I
Really cool
remember
game.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So the song, I mean, I haven't listened to that song in as long as I can remember, so I don't even really know what the lyrics are, but it's just that beat. That
Yeah.
that memory is so strong. Yeah, I must listen to it actually and see what the lyrics are.
Well, I think it's about how video came into the equation with music. So this
Yeah,
is right
true,
before MTV and the
true.
whole start. And I think this is in the UK, it was probably first where they had already started creating videos with the music. So attaching
Yeah,
that
you're
sort of
right.
visual to the song. So that's kind of whereas maybe people were radio stars in the past, where you just,
Yeah,
you knew them by their voice. Now you're seeing, and it has to be more drama, it has to be more acting, more, the whole visual effect. So as far as I in this recall from that song, and I do remember, and I actually did a radio program It was in hospital radio in London when I used to live there in the 90s, and it was I had like we picked a certain year, some of the other radio or DJs, and so I got 1979. So I had to pick songs from 1979, which this is one of the songs, which was
Oh,
obviously
wow.
a big. This is pre-internet, so I'm kind of trying to find out what songs were from 1979 and look it up in books and this and that to find these great songs. You didn't have your Spotify streamer either, so
Yeah.
it's just like
Yeah.
looking through your collection or from the hospital radios collection. They had a massive vinyl and CDs and stuff. So
Well,
this
that would
definitely
have
was
been
a hit pre
79.
MTV.
Yeah, yeah, because I would have been about 8 years old, so that's about right, 8 or 9,
Yeah.
born in 71. So, oh, that's interesting.
71. Same.
Yeah.
Um, I think in you've talked a little bit about this maybe in other podcasts and whatnot, but it's kind of like, your past versus your identity now. And so how
Mm.
does that define, things that you've gone through, things where you were in who you are?
Yeah, so it's no secret out there in the podcast world now and in the world, given that I've published a book, that I was a child of sexual abuse within the family, not my father. I want to make that very clear.
Yeah.
Um, and look, it's difficult for some people to hear this, but it really was the greatest gift that that was given to me in my life because it's put me on the path of who I am today and why I do the work that I do. One of the first clients that I worked with when I first came through my training was a young 16-year-old girl who had been sexually assaulted, like really severely sexually assaulted. And when you've actually walked this path and been through this, you can actually sit on the other side of the couch or opposite somebody with the deepest of empathy, like truly understanding what it's like for them
Right.
to have gone through that experience, as opposed to just having the qualification through a piece of paper. Um, and life has put me in front of many, many, many women that have been victims of sexual abuse and lots of forms of abuse, actually, psychological and
Uh,
mental, emotional. So yeah, it really was, even though I absolutely don't condone what happened to me, but I have forgiven um, the man that did this, and it's formed my life and it's formed my work, and it's something that it's I'm not proud to speak about, but it just feels so good to not be silenced, because as you know, in my generation and the generation before me, and even today, women are silenced around their abuse, and so to be able to have that sense of freedom around it is it's just incredible.
I think that was what I was going to ask you as well. Especially us growing up around the same time, do you think it was a lot less where you could talk about it and try to bring this up, not necessarily directly with your parents, but with other people that would listen to you and trust you and not consider you strange or damaged or weird or something where people would just listen to you and hear you kind of and is this also a part by you talking about this and sharing and maybe doing work around it, you're releasing this so it doesn't define. I had another guest who shared a similar situation in the story where they didn't let that define who they were going to be.
No.
But I guess they had to go through quite a few metamorphosis, good word, to get to there, but kind of releasing this so it doesn't define them, maybe, if that
Yeah,
makes
look,
sense.
it never goes away. It
Right.
never goes away. Like, it's not something that you can just say, I'm done with this now, or I've
Right.
healed this now. It's a part of me. It's a part of who I am. So it actually has defined me, but it doesn't define what, like, there's a song in the list that we'll get to. It's called I'm Not What Happened to Me.
Right.
And it's
Okay.
it's a song we'll talk about a little bit later on. But it's not my identity. I mean, who I am
Right.
at the very core of my being is not this body and not this mind and not this personality and not this ego anyway. It my um, belief and my faith around this is that it was part of my destiny. It was meant to happen because otherwise I wouldn't be where I am today and I wouldn't be doing what I do today.
Right.
So call that identity, call that, you know, the word identity, I think it's really overused at the moment. Like it's a big topic. Um, it's not something that I identify with.
Right.
uh, because, at the level of the soul, we're none of it anyway. And I live a very soul-led life. And that's the transformation and the metamorphosis that I've been on. Like everything that I every decision I make in my life is chosen through the level of the soul.
Right.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
it definitely answers kind of and it articulates sort of what I was trying to say better
Yeah.
as well. So I think it's gonna thank you
Great.
for that. Um, let's continue your journey and jump to track two. This
Yeah.
is Elton John, Crocodile Rock.
Crocodile Rock. So this is a little later on in my childhood, and again, it's a happy memory of my parents dancing. So the yachts were gone, and the speedboats had come in, so they'd kind of gone from the wind to the power, and we were at it's called the Oriki Basin. It's a place in Auckland, at the ski club, and my parents were dancing. And it's a happy memory, and it's a song that my dad plays often, and he's played in his band, and we will sing together. Um, and I guess it's just one of those songs that once again is like a rock solid memory of just joyful times in our family.
Hmm.
And it was also the turning of an era as well, with rock and roll. It was one of those funky songs that kind of came out where people they went a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
And I remember that song playing in so many different places, like wherever we went through, I don't know, maybe that decade that song was on, whether it was on disco floors or whether it was played in nightclubs in the early days. So yeah, it's another one of those happy, joyful, upbeat. You put it on now and you just want to kind of dance to it. Da, da, da. It's a
Yeah,
fun
for
song,
sure.
you know?
And it's
Yeah.
kind of missing. I think there's these kind of glimpses where you get these songs. Sometimes it feels like everything has to be a message or meaning or, some just version of whatever we're going through rather than just a song kind of reminiscing about certain music or certain times. And I think
Mm,
bringing that into the mix was, I mean, and I guess Elton John and Bernie, who kind of writes the lyrics, they do a great job of that, and his voice is
amazing.
incredible there.
Amazing.
Um,
Yeah. And it's just like that song tells such a cool story about somebody's life.
yeah,
The whole song, like the lyrics are going in my head now, and it's just like it's such a cool story.
but I mean, the relationship with your parents was really strong. I mean, the visual you're sharing with us is kind of about them and that kind of family and just that joyful kind of experience together, right?
Yeah, we had so much fun. I mean, my parents were very young when they had my brother and I, like really young, like 17 and 19.
Okay.
Um, and so they were teenagers themselves, teenagers
Yeah.
with little children. So they were just rocking on and having a great time. And my dad was in a band, and my mum was like, "Oh my God, he's so amazing." So there's lots of laughs and lots of love in our family unit. Yeah.
Has this also like, from what you just shared, your trust with people, in particular men? I mean, has this been something that was kind of lost, or did you still trust and believe, that the situation and what happened to you wasn't going to um, make you think that all men or all people, or were you kind of a little bit withdrawn after that for a while?
I think because I was so young when this happened, like it was, between the ages of sort of 3 and 7. Um,
Okay.
as a little girl, you really don't know what's happening is wrong.
Okay.
There's a sense in the body, but I mean, this was a grandfather, so it's
Oh,
kind of like
wow.
this warped sense of, is this love, and what is happening, and why? But there's a it's almost like a little confusing, but you're so like you think of a little girl between those ages, like how do you really know that it's wrong?
Right.
Like I only sort of figured that out in the later years that it had gone through the family, um and as an adult, when I started doing the work on it, the memories that started coming through, and the work that I had to do around that. But it actually wasn't that built my lack of trust with men. It was once I became a teenager and started having boyfriends, and the way the boys treated me, and that was that was a whole other ball game.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And that's probably where the next song comes in.
Might be a good segue, not on purpose, but sometimes it just happens that way.
I'm feeling it, Sean. I'm feeling it.
We're
Is
channeling
it
the
the
next track three. This is Pink Floyd,
Yeah,
Another Brick in the Wall.
yeah, yeah. So these were teenage years. These were the years where, so we had a little theater in the main city, and my brother, who was 3 years older than me, he took me to Pink Floyd's The Wall when I was like 14, I
The
think, maybe
movie. Yeah.
15. And we got stoned. I didn't this is what you do when you're teenagers, right?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
just remember sitting there in this movie theater, like, what the actual, and being so blown away by this. I think of it as more like a documentary rather than a
Yeah.
film, right? And
It's like a rock
feeling,
opera.
oh my God, and feeling like, why isn't anybody talking about this? Like, this is the system that we're in, and this is we are just another brick in the wall. And like I understood it, maybe because I had a little bit of marijuana in my system, but it was almost like the lights went on,
Yeah.
and it woke me up. And that album, even to this day, I play it often, and I've sung it, like I've performed a Pink Floyd tribute. I play it in my workshops. It's a powerful, powerful song. I play lots of different versions of it. Like there's some, electronic versions now. And it's that one song that still kind of elicits this, oh, we're still stuck in the system, even today. I played it a lot during COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
My son plays it a lot. He's 21. We play it, we play it on the guitar, and it's just, yeah, my teenage years were molded around that particular album. So it's not so much just about that song, but the album, Another Brick in the Wall.
Yeah.
And it built my that particular song and album built my courage and my boldness and my kind of like I was a fierce teenager. I was like, you don't mess with me, and I had
Yeah.
boundaries, and I would stand up against the teachers, and I'd stand up against the world. And I suppose I'm a little bit like that now. But
Hmm.
it built my rebellion because I
Yeah. Yeah.
strongly believed in the message. I was like, this guy knows what he's talking about. Good old Roger Waters.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
this came out in 1979 as well.
yeah.
And I remember this song in particular when it was out. We had the album with my family, and I remember this song we would listen to because it was like, yes, we don't need no education. It was like school. I hate school, and all this, and kind of like so that you don't really understand. I didn't see the film yet. This was probably around same age as you, probably stoned as well, but not connecting the real message. It was more of because they played this on the radio, but the song was, it was still um, just about school and teachers and all that. And you just want, and it was rebellion without me knowing the word was rebellion, I think, at the time, because I was probably, I don't know, in 79 or 80, whenever I would have probably first heard the album. And I was younger than, well, like I said, later when I did see the film and connect the rest of the songs and the whole story more
Yeah.
together. It is something that I go back to lately as well.
Mm.
Oddly enough, it is one of the albums that I've been listening to for the last couple of years here. There's so many great songs off this album, and I feel like you can listen to it
Um,
directly as it is, created. But Roger Waters, it's like, Dark Side of the Moon was always the one we would go to because there was laser shows in New
yeah.
Orleans when I grew up, and so we'd go there a bit stoned to see the laser show and listen to Dark Side of the Moon, and it was amazing, and it's like, wow, that's so cool, and life is, what life is.
Yeah.
Um, but I think going back to this, it's that whole, to me, the wall is also you build a wall around yourself and you're trying to
Absolutely.
block, yourself from all the chaos, and
Mhm.
it's because you can't cope maybe with things that you're trying to
Exactly.
cover or
Exactly.
defend yourself. So there is
Yeah.
so much in there that I feel is still he needs to unpack, and maybe he has done that. I don't know his own work, but I feel like it's part of everyone else's journey to unpack, and it's been a
Yeah.
companion in that respect.
Yeah. Very, very powerful. Very powerful. Mm.
Um, it's interesting the earlier on you're going to contemporary songs and stuff that growing up and hearing, and then as you said you were 19 when you first kind of did your um I guess
My first
um
transformational experience. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then you start open yourself, kind of getting more expanding from a music perspective too, or where it goes, right?
Yeah, and the way I view the journey of music or the journey of life is around frequency. Like
Mm,
just every song has a frequency. Like you think from death metal to classical to operatic to bass music to, it all has a frequency and it all makes you feel different things. And so as I've grown and as I've evolved and matured, so has my music taste. And that's not to say that I don't go back and listen to, one of those other frequencies from time to time, but my body can only receive it for so long. And then it's like, oof, I need silence or I need
yeah.
something more gentle for my nervous system. Yeah.
And with your own personal transformation journey, what have you found that works for you?
So for the last, oh my gosh, 2004, so 22 years, I've been
Mm,
listening a lot to mantra music. So to chanting, but very specific. It's called gurumukhi. So it's
hmm
one of the highest frequencies of music. And that came from when I went to India, and I remember listening, to this sound current, and I was just like, this is so incredibly beautiful. And it was tacked on the back of a 21-day process that I was at the ashram on, and they had like really funky rock music and crazy music that we would dance to and release energy and cathat, and then they would put this mantra music on, and it would just break your heart open and bring you to
Yeah.
tears. So the majority of music that I listen to now is it's fairly gentle, like really, really gentle and soft. And like, one of the last pieces was the last songs, like that's kind of my daily go-to now. And I spend a lot of time in silence. Like that's the
Right.
highest frequency for me. So,
Yeah.
a lot of time where there's not music played. But
So
this
even
today
if you're meditating,
I was like,
is there a mantra when you're meditating, or do you do just
sometimes,
silence and just keep it
sometimes,
silent? Yeah.
yeah, sometimes I meditate with mantra. I teach a lot of mantra.
Mm.
But today I was in the car with my 21-year-old son and we were listening to drum and bass and I was loving it because I was, with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, yeah.
So
The frequencies, well, it's a shared frequency then. So then it kind
yeah,
of changes. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
absolutely.
interesting. One guest was telling me about going on a silent retreat, and I was speaking about this with my wife, and she was saying, "I'd love to do that," and I'm like, "Okay,"
Yeah.
and she's like, "You could never go on a silent retreat." And I'm like, "Probably not," because I
Yes, no,
would
you
want to
could.
talk or speak or something. They'd be like, "You get out."
No, honestly, I do a 10-day silent retreat every year. And I remember thinking that 20 years ago when I did my first one, like, oh my God, I have to be quiet for 10 days. And it was the most beautiful thing ever. Like, once you get through the
Wow.
first day, you're
Yeah,
actually like, oh, wow, this is amazing.
right,
Except for the thoughts that you have to listen to. But it's really not as hard as what you think.
right.
It's such a beautiful gift to give yourself. Go and do it, Sean.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna have to
Once in
be.
your life.
I'm gonna have to
Once
put
in
it
your
on the bucket
lifetime.
list for
Yes.
sure. Um, let's jump to track four.
Yeah.
This is a song called Silence. And it
Oh, yeah.
was, I guess, an artist called Delerium, featuring Sarah McLachlan.
Sarah
Now, is
McLaughlan.
this
Yeah.
the remix version with DJ Tiesto, or is it all the same?
Any
Yeah.
version of it. I
Okay.
mean, I remember first hearing that song at a dance, it was at a dance party, I think, and I was just like, oh my God, this song is amazing. And this was my, druggy dance party rave days.
Okay.
Um, and this was in between sort of 19 and 28, when I was trying to go off the path.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just remember hearing the song and being like, I loved the lyrics, I loved the beat, and then I heard it in all these different versions. And then I heard the Sarah McLachlan acoustic version, and I just
Oh,
fell in
wow.
love. And it's been
Okay,
one of my
I didn't
favorite.
hear that one. I've just this one, the version maybe I might have found was what DJ Tiesto also
Yes, yes, but
involved.
that's quite an intense version. But if you listen to the Sarah McLachlan acoustic version of Silence, it is so beautiful, so
I've
beautiful.
only known her through a lot of her stuff with Andrew Lloyd Webber and then some other
Right.
more classical stuff. So when I heard even that version, I was like, wow, she reminded me of Sinead O'Connor in some of her voice
Yeah,
sound. And I was like, just I mean, everyone raves about how beautiful her voice is and her, the songs she sings. And I've never really gravitated to her. And when I heard this, I was like, her voice is incredible because you can hear the range of her singing more contemporary and even, this is a specific kind of genre compared to just her in musicals or her in, kind of
yeah.
more of the classical, which I think is obviously um, more impressive in some ways. But at the same time, hearing her sing contemporary, I thought was beautiful. And I really like her voice a lot more now. I think it's new.
Reminds me of like an older version of London Grammar. Like it's
Yeah, yeah.
echoey and it moves me.
Right.
Her voice moves me. So there's an album, I can't remember the name of it, but it might be called Mystic. It starts with M and I highly recommend listening to it.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to kind of dig through some of her stuff and see because one of my good
Yeah.
friends, who's English, he loves her, and he's a musician and composer. So he obviously, that's like his holy grail of singers, female singers.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I was always a bit like, so this is in not a bad way, just more, not putting in the time. But hearing this, I really liked her. And this version actually, and I would like to hear the acoustic version because that sounds more interesting because you could probably, it's more
Amazing. It's
raw.
piano.
Yeah. But I
Mm.
do like this version. It's not a typical, I guess, remix by Tiesto and
Yeah.
Delirium. So it wasn't, their usual stuff that I've heard before. So it was
Yeah.
interesting.
No, it's good. It's a good dance track.
Yeah. Um, Interesting question. With transformation and the work that you do, how do you feel like AI is a partner, or do you think it's more of a competitor to, because nowadays people write to Chat GPT and just say to them, help me understand my dream last night, or help me, I've got anxiety. And I don't know how that contends with people who are actually coaches, teachers, and
Mm.
in the profession, so to speak.
Yeah, it's a good question. Like for me, I use AI and I use it a lot and I
Mm,
use it intentionally. But I'm still putting in my own AI, my own awakened or authentic intelligence into it, and I fight with it. I'm like, no, 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 don't tell me that. Don't give me that. Like
Hmm.
you are my. I'm telling you that you are my business strategist, or you are my this, or you are my that, and you will answer me very specifically from the place of a saint or a sage or a Buddha or Christ or
Yeah.
so I'm being very, very specific with it. In terms of therapeutic work and transformation, AI can't look you in the eye. AI can't give you a hug. AI can't empathize with you. AI can't give you that human connection that therapeutically most people need. AI can't give you any of that. It can't really it doesn't get to the core of who you are.
Right.
It it doesn't, I mean, you're not getting this, even this, like this connection here, you can feel it viscerally through the screen.
I mean,
But
some say that
and
this
it's
is
definitely
going to be able to
helpful.
happen. That, I mean, there's a TV show that I was watching recently with Nicole Kidman, and one of the characters lost is grieving their wife. It's a woman, and she lost her wife, and she's grieving her, but she's a super tech, person. So she's
Okay.
created a version of her that's on
Yeah,
camera and that she communicates with and has conversations, and it's a real actor, obviously, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's surreal that that could be the future, or maybe it
It
is
it could
currently, and I
be, it could be, but what I know to be true is like, well, here in New Zealand, mental health is off the Richter scale, and we do not have enough therapists to support
wow,
people here in our country. And I know that that's a worldwide epidemic, right?
it is.
And I feel like AI is is almost like it can be helpful if you're asking the right questions and you're in the right frame of mind, but it can also be really detrimental
Right.
and shut people away and turn people off from being connected and being in the world. And people are always going to need human connection.
Yeah,
Like
I
it's
agree.
a it's a basic human need. We're all good, other than if you're an addict or you're a recluse or you can't get off the couch for whatever reason, we need human connection. Like it's
Yes.
fundamental for our survival.
For
Yeah.
sure. I think that, I mean, personally, I would love to be able to find a way to do more of the podcast in person with guests and have the guests with.
Yeah.
I've done one episode with my niece who's coming up from when I was in Houston. But I would love to have that more regularly, the connection, because again, when
Yeah.
you're in the same energy, we have an energy now, but I feel like together in a room, it's going to be a totally different energy.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Absolutely.
so
And then you get to look into each other's eyes and then you get to have a hug at the end and be like, thanks. And it's real.
yeah,
It's
for
true.
sure.
Yeah. I mean, if whoever you're with is a hugger. And
It's like I'm gonna hug you anyway, so just they
yeah.
stand cringing.
Yeah. And
Um,
I do think that people are really craving for human connection as well. Like this event that I'm putting on in a couple of weeks' time. We've got 120 people that have signed up. It's a, yoga and transformational festival. And people are just like craving
yeah.
being in community. Yeah.
I've been with this group of people in there from all over. So in the States, they have I don't know about New Zealand, but one Australian, and then most around Europe. And so it's called The Field, and it's led by uh, a lady out of the UK who's great, and she's been a guest on the podcast, Elisa, and a really good friend now. But the people are connected. We have a WhatsApp group, and then there's a formal thing that she has. But everyone we communicate, we're like, God, we would love to, when we can get together and see each other. And so, even if it's not a formal retreat, it would be. And I've only got to meet a few of the people in person so far. So it's
Yeah.
been that kind of trying to connect everybody, and because it's a small group that we started with, and just that kind of, it's a really nice bond that we've
Yeah.
formed, and then having that but I think everyone craves the phys the the real, not just the virtual. So so
Absolutely.
true.
I 100% agree.
Let's jump to track 5.
Oh,
This
wow.
is
Fine.
So Much Magnificence
Yeah.
by Miten and Deva
Miten,
Premal.
Miten and Primal.
Primal.
Yeah, so this song came about when I entered into a journey therapy practitioner training with a woman called Brandon Bays in 2004, 2003. Yeah, 2003. So I'd gone through some training with Tony Robbins, and that was like intense and hype. And
Mm.
then I found Brandon Bays, and her work was deep, like really deep. It was deep soul work, and it was immersive, and it was inward, and um, it was like nothing else, like nothing else I've ever, well, at that point had experienced. And this was one of the first pieces of music that she played sort of at the end of one of the processes that we went through, and it just broke me open. It's the most
Wow.
beautiful track.
It's
And
like a
then we,
chant when I
yeah,
listen
it's
to
a
it.
chant, yeah. And then we went and saw them live in Byron Bay as part of our like it was a year and a half long practitioner training, and at the end we got to see them live, and they opened they either opened or closed with that track. I can't remember. And I just remember sitting there crying. And once again, like 22 years later, I still use that in the therapeutic space. I still have
Right.
that as a piece of music that I play for my clients and I play for myself when I'm feeling like I need a shift, something deep within me. It's beautiful. And when you have a group of people and some are singing, there is so much magnificence, and some are singing hallelujah in different pitches and tones. It's like, oh, this beautiful piece of music.
Yeah.
I'll never tire of it. Never tire of it.
When you're working with clients, I mean, you, I guess, are present through different experiences that they go through or their version, like transformation. How does that impact you? And are you able to keep the same kind of control, or does, some take over more to others, or?
Funny, like this question gets, I get asked this question so often, like, how do you deal with your own energy when someone's going through something? It's
Yeah,
really humbling, Sean, when you're working with someone that is, literally on their knees in tears, or, some part of them is just cracking open from being in the presence of someone that's present with them, deeply listening. Like, I'm not a therapist that kind of sits here and says, tell me how you feel and let's talk about mum and dad. That's not how
right.
I work. That's the mainstream, and I work really differently. Like, I am in the thick with them. I'm in the mud with them. I'm on the floor with them. I've got the tissues. I've got the music volume going up to disturb their psyche, to get, to concentrate that energy and the intensity, and meeting them in that. Like sometimes I've been right up in somebody's face
Hmm.
because I know that like that's what they need in that moment. It's like, I'm your father, this father that may have abused you. I'm your father. Like, what do you want to say?
Right.
And I just let them go. And this is a part of that destiny. Like, I've had so much shit happen in my life. I've had so much abuse coming from so many different angles that it builds your capacity. It builds your magnitude to be able to hold a lot. And so and because of the amount of work I've done over so many years, I can hold someone going through their deepest, darkest place because you're not containing them. Like, it's like this vessel. You just become a vessel to let everything move through. So it's humbling, and and I always leave in awe. Sometimes I'm in tears with these people. Sometimes we're laughing.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're taking our clothes off and running into the ocean, and jumping with joy. And I just meet them where they're at. I'm
Right.
I'm not holier than thou. I'm not the therapist that thinks I'm better. It's just that I've had a life experience that's different, and I have something to share.
Do you think
So
if you didn't
I
have that
don't take
experience?
anything on. What was that?
Sorry, do you think if you didn't have the experiences that you had and what you went through, that maybe you wouldn't be able to work with these people the same way?
I can't really answer that question because it's not the reality,
Right.
But what I do know is when you go through sort of the mainstream channels of training to be a psychologist or psychotherapist, which is great, you're very supervised and you're very contained and you have to be a certain way with your clients and you can't get close to them and you have boundaries. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I've
Right.
gone through lots of different other channels to become a really, really good practitioner in what I do. And I want to know that the person that's sitting in front of me can share anything and everything. And I'm going to be right there with them,
Yeah.
fully relatable, fully available. Like I'm that person that will often deliver a keynote to 1,000 people in a room and go and stand in the hallway afterwards and have a chat, not go and hide in the green room or, be taken off stage. It's like, no, hi,
Right.
how are you?
You're part of
How
the
you doing?
community.
Yeah, 100%.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Let's jump to track 6.
Yeah.
This is Hold Your Hand by Jagdeesh.
Jagdeesh. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was the next iteration of my life where I came through the journey therapy training and I did a whole lot of stuff and I went to India and
Hmm.
I found a guru, a teacher over there that I started training with under the mastery of Kundalini yoga. And
Can you explain what that is a little bit more, Kundalini?
yeah,
Because I know a
yeah,
little bit about it, but I think maybe just in general for people too.
yeah. Yeah, it's a scary word for some people, but all it means is life force. Kundalini is a Sanskrit word for life
Hmm.
force, and it's in everything. Like it's Kundalini moves in the trees and the clouds and the oceans. It's the life force energy that generates and organizes and dissolves. So, in terms of the Eastern philosophy and yogic psychology, which is what I'm trained in, the energy of Kundalini, the life force, sits at the base of the spine and moves up through the spinal channels and removes the obstacles for us to become enlightened. And there's this myth that none of us are enlightened, but actually we all are. We're already enlightened. We've just forgotten.
Right.
And we've allowed life to kind of condition us and squeeze us into these boxes. So Kundalini, when Kundalini life force opens, we become magnetic and we become radiant and we become bright and we become purposeful and creative and all those beautiful things. Um, but Kundalini yoga and meditation is very different to the Kundalini awakening process. Those are two very separate things. And I teach and guide Kundalini yoga and meditation, which
It's
is
more of a flow.
more of a flow, more of a contained practice. And like there's 8,000 teachings in the library that we can pull from. So it's a very precision technology that works specifically with whatever, a client presents. So don't be afraid of the word Kundalini. It's very cool.
Yeah.
But that particular song. So I met Jagdeesh at a workshop in Auckland. Oh gosh, 10 years ago, and she was singing this song and I'd heard it a lot and I sang it a lot because my voice is similar pitch to hers.
Hmm.
And she was, playing her guitar and singing the song and I was streaming in tears and I was harmonizing with her. I was just like, wow, this is so amazing. And she came up to me afterwards and told me I had a really beautiful voice and that she loved listening to my harmony. And I was like, Jagdeesh just said
Breathe,
that to me.
make it tongue.
And she
Wow.
gave me this piece of jewelry, which, like a mala with, oh, it's not this one, it's another one, with a beautiful big piece of amber, like bright yellow amber that sits at the heart center. And she gave this to me and she said, I've been waiting to feel who was meant to receive this. And so that song has been the song that I've sung when I've gone through a breakup. It's the song that I've sung when I'm grieving deeply. It's the song that I sing and listen to when I just need to have a vertical connection with God or, with the universe. I've sung it to my son when he's been in despair. My dad and I sung it at an event here in New Zealand. It's just got a really special place in my heart. Yeah, it's one of those songs like if you really, really listen to it,
Hmm.
it's pretty incredible what it does.
It was definitely a new song I'd not heard, but I listen, I mean, immediately her voice stands out and it's
Yeah.
really touching, and I found it quite beautiful. So that was really nice to kind of have hear that, because again, I can make playlists or find playlists of kind of meditation music or this or that, and it's kind of like with where you would maybe, or if you take a yoga class, sometimes music you'll hear, but it's not necessarily, if you don't know what you're looking for, you're not going to find it
Mm,
so much. You may stumble past it, but you won't really catch it. So when
yeah.
it's kind of pulled out and kind of spotlight on certain artists or certain specific, way the song is in some of the meaning, I find it really nice.
Yeah, and that song came off one of her albums called Down Come the Walls,
Hmm.
and it's a journey. So if you listen to the album from the beginning to the end, it takes you on this incredible, incredible journey. And then the album that she created directly after that one was called All Is Now Light.
Yeah.
She's the most amazing artist, and it really tells a story of that time in her life. Mm,
We jump to track 7.
yeah.
Now we're going to take a big shift and change
Are
from
we?
this is Fisher and
I'm
Losing
losing
It.
it.
So
Yep.
again, when I was listening through it, I'm like, calm, and then this comes on. I'm like, wait a minute, what is this? And I had not heard Fisher, but I mean, it sounds very familiar of the time and that's kind of music, but it was very special.
Yeah. So I heard this song only a few years ago, and it was so I've been presenting at festivals for a couple of decades, and I was putting a playlist together to present like an ecstatic dance kind of experience. And my son he's a DJ as well, and he was like, "Mum, have you heard this song?" And we were in the lounge room at home, and he put the song on, and I was just like, "Oh my God, this is so cool!" And we turned it up on the stereo and disturbed all the neighbors, and we were like really, funky dancing around the lounge room, and it just got me. It was just one of those hook songs that it's like, if you want to let some shit out, you put this song on. Like if you want to really let loose, and
It
and
felt like a release
it
just
really
listening
is.
to it.
So it became the song that I played just about at every retreat to get
Hmm.
women out of their heads. It's like, come on, ladies, you don't have to look good here. You don't have to pretend. Nobody's seeing you, like just lose
Yeah,
your shit. Like let go. Like let your hair down and take your clothes off and,
right,
whatever it might be. And interestingly enough, almost every festival that I've been to since, somebody's been playing this track.
right.
And now it's my go-to for just, 3 minutes of just let it all out. It's just so cool. It's so cool. But yeah,
When
vast
you
difference between one and the other.
Yeah, for sure. When you do work with men, what does that look
Hmm.
like compared to, because obviously the work with women are obviously a little bit more relatable, but also kind of in a safer space in certain things. But then if do you do work with men separate to women, or do you ever have them mixed or as a group?
Yeah, a bit of both. So it depends on the type of work. I mean, one of my very first clients, and early, early, early on, was a man suffering with diabetes and weight gain and low
Mm,
self-esteem, and he's had probably the greatest transformation out of any of my clients that I've ever worked with. But men have a pride about them, and I guess more fear and being seen and having to put down their walls. I feel, a woman's heart cracks open a lot. And I'm generalizing, a lot easier because we work within that heart space, the
all
mother's
right,
heart. So yes, I work with men. They don't show up as much.
all right,
Men today, I find that, all of the beautiful men's work that's available out there, that there's a space for them. Men tend to work more one on one. But when I was involved in the tantric community, there's a lot of men. more men than women. And the tantric community that I was involved in was around liberating us through our sexuality. So, men are drawn to that type of work. So when I was facilitating in that arena, there was, yeah, a lot of men present, a lot more younger men than men.
Why would they be more attracted to that? Is that because of like their sexual awakening or something, or trying to connect
Yeah,
themselves?
yeah. I mean, in this particular tantric community that I was involved in, you got to explore your sexuality.
Okay.
And so men come to naturally want to explore their sexuality.
All right. Okay.
Right. But, it's very contained and boundaried and consensual and held in a lot of sacredness. But
Okay.
yeah, that space draws a lot of men in. And, during my time with Tony Robbins and Brandon Bass, there were a lot of men. The work that I guess I've chosen to do or have been drawn to works with women because of my own personal experience. Women
Right.
feel very safe with me. I'm not opposed to working with men, and I've worked with sex offenders,
Wow.
and it's beautiful. It's beautiful to sit and work with the other side of the coin, so to speak, and feel the depth of their despair, guilt and shame and remorse around, the things that they've done too. So, but yeah, in terms of the retreats, I mean, this festival that I'm holding, I think we've had 3 ticket sales that are men and like 110 women.
Wow.
So I don't know.
That's very interesting.
I know,
They're
right?
going to be like,
I mean, if I was a man, that's where I'd want to be.
I mean, I'm trying to look at this from a strategic perspective. I mean, these three guys they're not just brave because it's going to be predominantly women, but I mean, their odds of if they want a connection or meet people, it's pretty, could be pretty strong.
Yeah, a lot of
So,
beautiful, like-minded, empowered, awakened women.
yeah,
So maybe
really
maybe we'll
men.
do one last marketing push saying, "Hey, to all the boys out there."
You're missing out. Um, let's jump to track 8.
Yeah.
This is Teddy Swims Lose Control.
Oh, yeah. Isn't it interesting? I've got 3 songs with the word lose in it.
Mm,
Um, I mean, Teddy Swims. He's a legend, right? He reminds me of my older brother. So my older brother passed away 10 years ago. And my older brother, he was a big set man and he was covered in tattoos and he
oh
was
wow.
a bit of a rebel. He had a deep guttural voice. He was an amazing singer as well. My big brother went through hell in his life in his earlier years and then passed away of a really debilitating disease. And Teddy Swims not only kind of reminds me looks wise of my older brother, but his story is so powerful. Like what he's overcome and who he's become and
Yeah.
he's written and his message and um, that particular song, like it has so many different meanings for me, and it's a song that I sing. Like my dad gets on the guitar and the drums and loops, and I just go full power into that song, and it elicits something inside of you. It's like how can it not? It's
They had
it's
a bit of a
um
gospel influence when I was
it
listening to
does
it
have a
because
gospel influence as well, yeah, and I don't know. I find it quite hard to describe what that song makes me feel. I was listening to it and singing and playing it in the car today, and it helps me shift like those big pieces, those really big pieces that kind of sit, like density in your body.
yeah,
I don't have it all together just because I do what I do. Like I have
right.
my own suffering and struggles in life. Let's be real. And music is the greatest medicine for me. And that song has been medicine for me.
Where do you feel like you get stuck mostly?
In my head, um, Probably like at the moment, what I'm shifting through is like taking that next big leap in my life. Like my son's grown up and left home, and I'm an empty nester, and I'm single, and I know who I am, but it's like I live in a tiny town. I live in a little country where the tall poppy syndrome is really prevalent. Like people don't celebrate you here. Like I'm generalizing again.
Hmm.
Unlike, in the US, they're like generalizing, they cheerlead each other on. Whereas in New
Yeah.
Zealand, it's actually really challenging to be a big personality, to be a big shining light here. And I am like that's who I am. That's how I was born. So my challenge at the moment is I'm taking a giant step in my career path, and I'm hanging out with some really powerful people. I've joined a very specific program, and I'm like hanging out in this global tribe, global world stage at the moment, and I'm like, this is where I belong.
Mm.
I feel so at home with these people, right? But my challenge is I can't seem to tell a lot of the people in my life about what I'm doing because they either don't get it, or there's jealousy, or there's like, yeah, it's more like they just don't understand.
Right. Do you
So
think if you were in bigger, like Oakland or somewhere else, that maybe it would be more, you'd feel more comfortable because there it might be able to, you can be shine more, you are allowed to be more brighter, whereas smaller
maybe I
places,
think it's just people go, "Oh, you're a yoga teacher," because my work has been predominantly quite underground, not underground, but behind closed doors because of the
mm,
level, the type of clientele you have, right? You don't go and shout that out to the world. You don't say, I just worked with a young girl with an eating disorder. I worked with an addict. I worked with someone who tried to commit suicide yesterday. Like, you don't talk about that.
right.
So most people don't know the level of work that I've been doing for the last 20 years. They've seen me as the presenter on stage. They've seen me as the teacher. They've seen me as the yogi. So it's kind of you get pegged into the identity.
Right.
And there's so much more. Like, I've written a TV series, and it's like, how do you tell people about that don't get it? Oh, yeah, you've written a TV series. Oh, yeah, okay. You know. So my challenge is, how do I stay quiet and only talk to the people that I need to talk to,
Yeah.
that will uplift, elevate, support, stand beside me? So it's almost like I'm having to remain a little bit of a mystery right now while I use life as a platform for elevation, and podcasting is one of them. Like, how
Mm.
do we support each other to get our message across?
Now, I will challenge you. So I do
Go
think that um, being yourself and being big, you shouldn't hide it or shy it away, even though they don't understand. I
Yeah.
don't think it should be pushed into people, but because I've had a conversation with someone recently in this same
Mm,
kind of close to circling around some of the same things you just shared. But I
yeah.
would think that you then feel like you have to lower your frequency because of them. And that messes up your frequency because your
Yeah,
frequency
it
wants to
does.
be over here.
It
So
does.
I'm not saying I have the answer for you, but I'm going to challenge it because I feel like we shouldn't allow others to change our frequency.
Yeah,
Um,
and I love that you're challenging me on that. It's more about being discerning. It's being discerning about who I share with,
yeah,
and um, that beautiful reading from Marianne Williamson, about don't dim your light, because I can't remember the exact words, but
yeah,
the
yeah,
one I'm referring to make others feel comfortable. And so I'm not doing that. Like, I'm surrounded
right,
by really beautiful people right now, but I am being discerning with whom I'm sharing this next piece with,
right,
because I've invested a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of energy into this, and I want to keep it really sacred.
yeah,
It's like a sacred piece of my life that I've gone out and blurted a whole lot of stuff and then kind of not followed through. Whereas this feels so sacred and so beautiful that I want to keep it a little contained.
That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm not dimming my light at all. I mean,
Okay, good.
I'm not at all. It's more discernment. It's like I'm not going to share it with this person because I know they're not going to get it. I know they'll
Right.
be upset. I know they'll be insecure, whatever, So we'll just have that
But you don't
conversation.
need their thoughts, whether they understand it or not, getting into your head because you don't need, then it kind of can cause doubt, cause confusion, cause chaos. Whereas keeping it clear exactly what you want to do is
Yeah,
where you should be. And you share other things with them. I mean, I have certain friends that we are certain friends for certain reasons and for certain things. It doesn't
yeah,
mean that they're a shallow friend or a deep friend. It's just a different type of friendship. And so
that's
I
right.
don't have to go into every single piece of my life or my
Yeah,
work or career to be friends with them.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
We're
Thanks for
gonna
the
get
time.
to now. This brings back to what we you mentioned earlier on when we were talking about this. This is track 9.
Hmm.
This is the Good Vibes Tribe, and I'm Not What Happened to Me.
Yeah. This is a new song in my life. Heard, I hadn't even heard of these people, and I cannot remember when I first heard it, but it's only been in the last 3 months,
Okay.
maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Um,
when this song came out.
I have a sense that it came up on, when you're listening to Spotify and then it kind of goes into automatic songs.
Mhm.
And this song came on when I think I was walking on the beach or something like that. And I was like, wow, this is cool. Who's this? Good Vibes Tribe. Never heard of them. Oh, it must be AI because it's so pure. It's so beautiful. It's so rich. And then I listened to all of their other music and it's become my go-to. Like I walk the beach with it every few days.
Mhm.
Re The whole album is amazing, but this particular song is another one of those ones where I listened to the lyrics and then I looked the lyrics up and I started singing the lyrics and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
this this is my life story. Like this is my mantra. I'm not the wound. I'm not the wall. I'm not the silence. I'm not, the fall. And my dad and I just performed it a couple of weeks ago at an event
Oh,
here.
wow.
He learned it on the guitar and I just used it as an audition for The Voice Australia. So it's one of those songs. I don't know, like I don't know whether I'll get through or not, but it was a fun experience, a fun
Hmm.
exercise to do. So it's become a go-to song for me as one of those like stake in the ground anchor.
Yeah.
Like I'm not what happened to me. I'm not,
Right.
and neither are you.
No.
And it's also becoming one of the opening song to my keynote. So I come on stage and I sing this song, and then I speak about the story, that goes in behind this. So it's just one of those
It's
songs.
beautiful words when I was
It's
listening to it and
beautiful.
hearing her voice and the singing and then just the trying to look at the words or think put them into perspective. It was very
Mm,
beautiful the way
mm,
um and I think everyone can relate to that, no matter what
absolutely.
sort of you've gone through or been. I feel like it can touch and connect to everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've sent it to so many people. Yeah. Even my
Well,
dad loves it. He's like, wow, that's such a beautiful song. It really touched him too.
but to have
Mm,
him play this with you live, I mean, that must be incredible.
yeah. And he got the loop pedal out and the electric guitar, and he was like looping the electric and looping the acoustic, then bringing in the djembe, then playing the piano. My dad's amazing. And we were rocking it. We got a
Oh,
music
wow.
room. He's got a music room, and, we get in there with the microphones and just have jam sessions, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So besides you have a big retreat coming up,
Hmm.
and what else is there? Is some of these two books that you've written that are not published yet, are they going to be published? Is this something you're going to let out?
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, I definitely look at the three books now and I go, they're a trilogy.
Hmm.
And so the third book needed to be written to complete the first two. And then, I guess all three can come out and go, here's your complete toolbox. So the first one's called The Radiant Woman, which are the tools and how to actually work on all of the what we call the 10 light bodies of consciousness.
Yeah.
So moving from the inside out. And then the second one is called A Journey of Awakening. And then this one's Metamorphosis. So they're kind of all, you know, blend from, the beginning to the end, I suppose. Not that there is an end. Um,
But would they be
yeah.
workbooks like in order? Would you think that if you release them, they would be something that people would not just read, but really feel like this is I'm going to take this journey and this is going from the first stage or the first part of the trilogy, then to the second, and it's actually, the transformation is almost in sequential order.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I haven't gone back and read The Radiant Woman. I wrote that. I wrote Journey of Awakening first, actually, which was 10 years ago or 11 years ago, and then Radiant Woman was written maybe 3 years ago, and then Metamorphosis last year. So it's
Hmm.
probably that order. Um, but you could pick any one of them up and just flick to a page, and there's something there for you as well.
Yeah.
But the big piece of work that I'm really excited about is the screen series. Like that was, if you believe in this, it was channeled with me last year, and it's like there's no way that my human mind could have written what I've written. Um, and I don't know where that's going to go, but I've got some really cool contacts that the universe has synchronistically brought into my life, that have got the screen adaptation on their table, on their
Hmm.
desk, and I trust it. Like I can see it coming out. It's called Metamorphosis, and it's very unique. There's nothing that's been done like this before. And I'd
Right.
really love to get it into the right hands. So trusting that it may be next year, it may be in 5 years, I don't know, but it's a piece of work that can't sit in my laptop. Like it's got to get out there into the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's jump to your last track. This is track 10. Um, Chantress,
Hmm.
Seba?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chantress
This
Seba.
softening into change.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's instrumental. It
Mm.
doesn't have any lyrics. It has sound current through it. Uh, it's a vibrational piece of music that I play probably daily. Like it's one of the most played tracks on Spotify at the moment. Like she's just going off. And it the title of it, Softening, has been a big piece for me over the years and something that I have been working with myself and with people in my life and with my clients is that, we've been hardened. Life hardens us. And,
Yeah.
we've, in order for us as individuals to experience, that inner peace and that deep sense of calm, serenity, tranquility, we have to soften into love, soften into compassion, soften into connection, soften
Yeah.
our hearts, take the barriers, work on the barriers and the chains and the obstructions and all the guarding that so many of us have. And the more we soften, and not come back with reactions and resistance and deflection and all the things that make us up as humans, the more we can just soften into our own essence, the better world we will have. The
You can
better we
compare it
will
to
be.
people driving and they don't want to let you in, or they just,
Yeah.
they're just like, I don't want to say selfish because I think that's the wrong word, but it's that almost like, okay, I don't see you there when you're there, even though you're there. And so you're hard, you're closed, you're not being, to let another person. And it's funny because when you do see that, just not driving is the most important thing, and
Mm.
somebody lets you in, you're kind of like, oh. what
Oh,
what's wrong with them?
thanks.
You know, you don't think, and then you think thank you. But I think if more people did it, it would be less kind of agitation on the roads and people being
Yeah.
more defensive driving. But I think it's also, like you said, people closed up. They're like, if you meet somebody new, you're already thinking, what are they after? You know, what's their angle? What are they trying to do? And you have this kind of worry or something. And I don't know if that's from the
Mm.
news or from just current state of the world.
Yeah. Look,
Why,
I
you
think
know,
it's a myriad of things. But that's a great metaphor, the driving thing, because, we could use that in every aspect in our life. It's like, just let somebody in,
yeah.
let me in, just give me a glance, give me a moment. I had a very dear friend call me this morning, and she messaged me first and she said, I need some time. Are you free? I was like, absolutely. And then she said, the very first thing she said to me is, thank you for giving me your time and for listening to me. It's very rare. And I was like, oh, honey, anytime, let me just finish making my coffee. Let me sit down so I can be really present with you.
Mm,
And I just deeply listened, deeply listened so she could feel heard, because she's a therapist that listens to people all day, every day. And that's a rare gift that we can give, like let somebody in,
yeah.
let somebody in. So, yeah, thanks for letting me into your world, Sean.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show and to share your ten and you let me into your world and
Yeah.
to I'm very interested to learn more about your programs and what you're going to be doing. I feel um the music community more so than just the transformation community, I feel is
Mm,
a small and big community at the same time, similar
yeah,
because it's people who are passionate about music, but how music fits into so much of our life and
yeah,
where is part of our soundtrack. So hope to stay in touch.
absolutely. Please do. And
And
vice versa.
yeah.
Yeah.
When I say goodbye, I always and just before that, people can connect with you through your website. And what's the best ways? Are you on Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram or Facebook. I mean, I'm not a huge social media person, but I'm there. I'm out there. But what I've been saying recently is like, send a message. Like how
Yeah.
rare is that these days where people actually, like go give them a WhatsApp number out and send me a message. And if people are open to having a conversation or just saying hi, like let's have a chat, let's get on Zoom, let's actually
Yeah.
connect rather than following someone like, oh, really? Yeah.
I've had a couple of guests who I met for the first time who weren't like connected to me through a friend of a friend or something. And we've been still communicating through email or WhatsApp. And they said, hey, let's have a catch up. So it wasn't another recording, it was just to
Yeah.
see how we are in life and things like that. And that was so beautiful because it's more than just a guest.
Yeah.
To me, it's like they see part of the community and that, we kind of way to fit in. And so that's been special for me to have these connections where it's not just transactional. Um, you know,
Yeah. Absolutely. And I agree because often with podcasts too, it's like someone's wanting something from someone. It's like, actually, you're a really cool human being. When, if you ever come to New Zealand, come hang out, come stay. It's like this is a good way to make connections and make friends. And
yeah,
I think
for
that's
sure.
more important than making business relationships or having an end game of wanting to make money or, become visible.
Right.
I mean, that's part of it, isn't it? Like share your message and share the love, but I think there's something deeper than that too. Mm.
Well, I hope we stay in touch and keep in touch, and I will for sure want to do that and look forward to this episode coming out. And I just wish you, when I say goodbye, I say to my guests to be kind, be humble, be love. And I feel like you're already incorporating a lot of that into your life. And so I hope, it rubs off on a lot more people that we share this. So,
Yeah, thanks, Sean. This has been an absolute privilege and probably one of my favorite podcasts so far.
oh,
It
thank you
feels
so
like just a
much.
really cool chat with an old friend. It's kind of like that. So thanks for having me as your guest. And yeah, definitely stay in touch and really like that.
Thank you.
And take care and go and have a day in silence.
Pretty vacant times.
Are you ready?
Yeah, it suffers for his sports jacket.